Well, hey now, everybody. It's the Rob from 106.1 KISS FM and 103 GBF. Here with my tag team partner in podcasting, the Texas Rattlesnake. He is Jerry Valeri. Good morning, Jer.
Don't trust anyone, Rob. I want to start by saying, love that shirt. That double album was the first CD I ever purchased for myself. I had other tapes, I'm that old. But the first time I ever bought compact discs for myself, it was Use Your Illusion 1 or 2. I always make sure I say that because the first CD I ever received was MC Hammer, and I'm not proud of that.
So it's funny. The first CD I ever received was a tie. On my birthday, my mom got me a CD player with TLC's Crazy Sexy Cool.
It goes right in line with my MC Hammer disc.
And my brother, that same day, my brother John got me Thriller on CD.
That's a good one.
Yeah, which is, I mean, that's definitely one you want to have. The first CD I ever bought with my own money is more in line with your Hammer. That would be Salt and Pepper's Very Necessary.
Oh, and I thought your mom was stretching with TLC. No way. You're doubling down. You're going for the original TLC, Salt and Pepper.
And then I do know that the very first CD I ever purchased with a gift card was Boys to Men 2.
Oh, you were super into R&B and stuff. I was too, but
dude, that stuff was crazy popular in 99. Or
absolutely.
95, I meant.
When did you discover the beauty that is your shirt? When did you discover Guns N' Roses?
Guns N' Roses was high school for me, and they're still my favorite bands. Got a chance to see them in Nashville. Boy, I guess it's a year and a half ago now. It was last July of 16. And never thought I'd get a chance to see Axl and Slash on stage together. But yeah, this for Use Your Illusion 2, the blue one, was my favorite album for a very long time, and it's number 2 right now. And they're both in my top 20. My favorite song I've ever written is on number 1.
Which one's that?
November Rain. That's my favorite song ever written.
Oh yeah, of course it is, because I remember one of my favorite Rob lines. So when we were on a radio station together, we had a morning show, and we had been acquired by another company that had booted us from the mornings. And
they already had Bob and Tom on, who are GBF's morning show.
Oh, okay. So they had Bob and Tom. We'll say nice things. And then
whatever. Okay, sure.
Whatever. So anyways, I'm on afternoons and Rob's on nights. Now, this is the best ever because Rob has a show as a night guy on this station that's newly acquired by these people.
This is one of my favorite just days of working in radio.
It's the first and only night as a jock on this station. He goes on the air.
And listen, as Jerry can attest to, and also Grooves, who I'm sure is not watching, but we still keep in touch with, I had one purpose this broadcast. I wanted to get fired by the end of the day. I didn't want to work for this company anymore. The company Jerry still works for. It was my first and only day with that company. And I was at a point in my life, Jerry, where I was about to graduate from college.
You were ready to rock and roll. You were going to move, maybe. You could go anywhere you wanted. And did. You went to Montana.
I wound up in Montana, but I was just like, I don't know where I want to kind of start my radio career, but I know it's not here. I've got a few months left until I graduate, and then I've got the summer to kind of figure things out. And life wound up taking me to Montana, a decision I don't necessarily regret. And that got me here to Evansville. But so go ahead.
Well, the purchase of it should be known that the purchase of the radio station that day was very controversial. A lot of people lost their jobs. A lot of things had gotten shaken up in town, and there wasn't a lot of good feeling about it. Rob carried that on to the air. I'm married at the time, and I'm just like, I don't want to lose my job, so I'm just going to play ball. They moved me over, and not much changed other than I lost my morning show, and one of my friends got fired. It was just terrible. Rob goes on at night, and he just starts airing some dirty laundry, but he's doing it subtly, and they're afraid of what he's going to say. So the OM at the time, Nice Face, I called him Nice Face because his face just looked, oh, God, it looked like a pizza had given birth to another pizza.
It looked like one of those crumble cakes. What are they called? Those like coffee cakes?
Like an Entenmann's.
Yeah, yeah.
So Nice Face had to actually stay late to babysit Rob. They had taken the library from another rock station that the company ran.
Hold on. Nice Face didn't just have to stay late. Nice Face got a phone call while he was at his anniversary dinner with his wife at Red Lobster. So he had to leave Red Lobster on his anniversary to come back to the radio station to sit in his office and listen to my show.
He was mid-ultimate feast. And Rob's spouting off at the mouth. They had a 4-minute version of November Rain. This is where we get back to Guns N' Roses. They had like a 4-minute November Rain. I guess a radio-friendly November Rain. And I'm listening to the show too.
The song's 9 minutes behind you.
Because why wouldn't I listen to this? This is going to be amazing. Because Rob says to me 10 minutes before it goes on the air, I'm getting fired tonight. Bang! Tuning in.
Grooves was at the hip hop station, and he said he was listening to my show.
Oh, of course.
He was on the air at the time.
4.5-minute November Rain. Rob goes on and goes, and that's half of my favorite song of all time.
One of my favorite things about that show, and we'll get to Raw here in a minute. The one thing I tried to make this happen, but I couldn't make it happen. Every break I was trying to say something to get me fired. And they were very clear. So the friend that Jerry mentioned got fired was he's still a friend of ours. His name's Fish.
Yes. Yeah.
They said, under no circumstances are you to talk about Fish, because Fish had been a part of Quick Rock for a decade, maybe
longer than I had. He was my PD when I rolled in. He's the guy that got me into it.
He was a staple on the station. And really the only reason they let him go was because they already had someone to run the station on staff. He didn't like do anything, or he wasn't bad. He was kind of priced out of a job, essentially.
And that day that they fired us, not the new company, but the old company's manager was so stupid. He brought all three of us into a room, and he's going to offer you and me a job and fire Fish right in front of us. And what I don't realize is because I just tuned out. As soon as Fish is fired, he stood up and walked out. We're in the room for another 20 minutes. And when we walk out, the mic light turns off. He'd been on the air running at the mouth for 20 minutes.
And then do you remember what else he did right after that?
He put Pearl Jam's Not For You, the unedited with an F in it, on loop. And that thing, nobody touched it. We all left the building and had to go to another building to talk to people. Nobody touched it until 7 p.m.
I thought that was such a rock star exit. I always admired that. And anytime I hear Not For You, I always think of Fish.
Yeah, me too. Hey, Fish, we speak your name. Fish.
So Fish was let go the day before, and they said, you cannot talk about Fish. And the whole time via text message, I'm trying to get an interview with Fish. But he was on his way. I feel like he was going somewhere to New York, but he was on a long road trip. And
he was getting out of town. He didn't want to be in town anymore.
Yeah, I don't know if he just didn't want to talk to me or didn't want. I was just, I was young and crazy then, man, and that was a different time.
That was good, and we all are in we went 3 different directions, and we're all doing well. He's doing well in Omaha, Nebraska. You were in Montana, now you're in Indiana, and I just sat my ass and stayed put.
Yeah, the great thing is the company we're talking about is the company that Jerry still works for. So anyway, welcome to the show, everybody.
Nice Face isn't there anymore.
Is he still on radio? Do you know?
I think so, in Massachusetts.
Good for him. I hated him for a time, but I look back and it's like, I was such an a-hole. Like, how could you not be a jerk to me?
Yeah, but you were only an a-hole for half a day. Did
you watch Raw last night? That was a fun trip down memory lane.
Yeah, that was nice. I hope everybody else enjoyed it as much as I did. Again, good shirt. What a great shirt.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah. So I did watch Raw last night, and I was very, I was very surprised by the direction they went.
Boy, yeah, that's a really interesting way to describe it. So, I don't know how I want to word this. I either want to ask you what you thought of the show, or I want you to say what I thought of the show. Pick which direction you want to go in.
I'm going to tell you what I thought of the show.
Okay.
And I could do both, because I think we might disagree. I think we may disagree on this. I'm not 100% sure, but I loved it. I thought it was good. It went in line with what I've been saying for a while now. They're changing things up. They're doing things differently. It's almost like they heard me. the other day when I said, one thing Raw is doing well is they're putting on good matches. They're putting on quality in-ring action.
That's true.
Everything else was falling at the wayside. Kurt Angle was laughably bad. The storylines are thin. There's not much going on. But when you're in the ring, it's hard to argue with how good the show's been. And so it's like they said, all right, let's just do 2 hours of in the ring. I mean, 2-hour match, dude. They started 2-hour match with interviews sprinkled in. I thought it was very good. I really, really enjoyed it. I'm going to think that you probably thought it was overkill.
Boy, it's hard for me to even figure out where I feel about it. Now, I will say, I did have one problem that I'll tell you later, but okay. You said you started your review with that you loved it, and I certainly didn't love it. But once in a while, I kind of like it. Like, for example, I know that 5 years from now, we'll be referencing that one Raw that had the 2-hour Gauntlet match.
Yeah.
So that was kind of special. And if you're going to do a match for 2 hours, you could say that was one match, or you could argue it was also 6 matches. So there's that.
But it was continuous, and it never really took a break, and you didn't have long interviews, and you didn't have those stacked promos.
Correct. And you also broke it up with, I think the theme was everyone who just got eliminated would talk for a minute or whatever.
And I thought they all did themselves favors. I don't think anybody hurt themselves last night at all.
I don't think anyone hurt themselves, but I also don't think they did any favors. Really, like
Seth Rollins, I think benefited the most from it all.
That part's true, and also Braun Strowman for winning. So I guess those are favors. But I will say, and it doesn't just end with last night. It goes back to really, I feel like we can take this back to Survivor Series and the build up to that. So even the pay-per-view before Survivor Series, but last night especially, and the build to Elimination Chamber, I feel like the writing team has just been given the month off. And so here's the thing. To be consistent with my reviews of Raw, if I don't like how the Raw 3 weeks ago is dedicated to who's going to be in the chamber, and the Raw 2 weeks ago is dedicated to when they're coming out, and then the Raw last week is dedicated to, making some changes as to who's going to be in the match and when, and adding people and last chance matches, this match essentially is the same kind of thing. It's all this one angle that isn't even really an angle to me. And it didn't even mean anything. There wasn't even anything at stake.
That was a big problem for me. I kept having an issue with the psychology of it all, because if I'm Seth Rollins, I get counted out. Like I'm not trying to win this gauntlet match. That doesn't help me in any way, shape, or form when I have an elimination chamber that does mean something in 6 days. If you're going to look at this from a standpoint of of reality, there's no way you would die for this when you've got something big next week. You'd almost take it easy. And Corey Graves said that a couple times, yet nobody did that.
And then so I also feel like a lot of these guys, I mean, really, there's no real angles inside the chamber. And last night you had a real opportunity to maybe make some, maybe tease tension between these two guys, or, just create some sort of feuding inside the chamber, inside the cage. And they didn't. I mean, you really could have missed Raw last night. What? They
did with one person, and that was it.
Help me out. What am I missing?
Braun Strowman and The Miz. Like, I keep hearing that could be a WrestleMania thing.
Yeah, that's true.
And they really pushed that at the end.
Yeah. So, I mean, really nothing happened. And then the last hour of Raw felt refreshing because it wasn't about the one angle, but I can't think of anything really that happened in that last hour that was important either.
So I feel like I should clarify my statement. When I said I loved it, I loved the match itself. I loved the idea to just go for it and give us a match. I would have actually liked to see Seth Rollins make it the whole way through. It would have been very difficult for him. I loved that. Raw as a whole, if I'm honest, I got up, I did a lot of stuff during that 2-hour match.
How can you not?
I wasn't focused the whole time. And sometimes when I'd fast forward through the commercial, if I ended up getting 30 or 40 seconds into the match by accident after the commercial break, I didn't back it up. You know,
Yeah. And I'm social media-ing and doing wedding stuff. And, you know, and I'm also for 2 hours for one match. That's a huge commitment.
And I thought the last hour was garbage. I thought it was absolute garbage. I thought that Asuka promo was terrible. Why are they letting her cut promos?
Well, let her just be her silent assassin.
Yeah, she doesn't. I don't want to say she's not a good talker, because I bet in her own language she is, but she's not now. And that was a terrible promo. I don't care about Titus and Apollo. I did notice they dropped the Crews from Apollo Crews, just like they did Elias Sampson.
I read that was about to happen.
So they like to do that.
WWE always does that.
They like to do that a lot. So that didn't matter to me at all. And the six-man women's tag match, I don't care. I don't care. That last hour was absolute garbage. So while I really enjoyed it and I thought it was refreshing at the beginning, it doesn't get a great grade from me, and it could get topped by SmackDown easily.
Look, I mean, when they debuted the Elimination Chamber, it was prior to Survivor Series in 2002. And Eric Bischoff kind of came out and said that it was his idea, even though it wasn't, but that was the angle. And he said the 6 guys that were going to be in there. And I mean, in the dozens of Elimination Chamber matches that have happened in years past, that's what they do. Someone comes out and tells you who's going to be in the chamber. We have spent a month now of build where no angles have progressed, no angles have changed, no angles have been developed, born, nothing. Just determining who's going to be in the chamber and when. And I can't begin to tell you how disappointing that is to me as a fan. And SmackDown's no better.
SmackDown's worse in a way, because their wrestling doesn't have time to develop like Raw's does, because Raw has a 3-hour show.
I'll tell you this. I could tell you 2 matches when Raw started that are going to happen at the pay-per-view on Sunday. By the close of Raw, I can name 3 matches that are happening on the pay-per-view. Oh, wait, maybe 4. Okay, maybe up one of those. I may have forgotten about one, but they added officially Wyatt and Hardy again, which do not fool yourself into thinking they developed that angle this month. They didn't. That's been building for months and months and months. They've done very little to move that along.
It's been the same thing every week, just a different promo. Same kind of thing. And I like what they're doing, but they haven't developed anything.
You don't you're lying. You don't like what they're doing. Those promos are dumb. We've been saying that. We've both been saying that.
Here's what I like. I like the idea of switching back and forth between their promos. I do like that. But the promos themselves are just like,
I find Broken Matt unwatchable.
It's woken.
I find Woken Matt unwatchable.
To be exact.
And
I don't know, man. And they blew it off at the Raw 25. They had that match, and Bray won cleanly in 5 minutes.
And then, so correct me if I'm wrong, isn't it Asuka and Jax on Sunday?
It's Asuka versus Jax, and if Jax wins, then the match at WrestleMania is a triple threat match.
Despite the fact that we don't know who Asuka's facing.
Exactly. And, it's like, first of all, Nia Jax isn't going to break Asuka's streak at a B pay-per-view. And if she did, I wouldn't be surprised, because the WWE refuses to let us have a 2-woman match. It always has to have 6 or 7 or 4 or 3. Let's put
Why are you singling out the women? Look what they're doing with all the men on both pay-per-views.
Well, they have no choice but to do it on Raw right now because of the Elimination Chamber. The match in and of itself is a multiplayer match, but SmackDown has no excuses. 5 now. It's a fatal 5-way. Kill yourself. I hate those because it's like so unrealistic for the champion.
Yeah, I know, and it's also just the laziest of writing ever these past few months. It's been really upsetting to me. Is there any other match announced for Sunday besides those 4?
So you have
the men's chamber, women's chamber, Wyatt and Matt, and Asuka and Jax.
I mean, I'm sure the Bar is going to wrestle somebody.
Are they?
Tag champs, maybe? I don't know. Here, filibuster. I'll find out. Right this second what WWE.com has labeled. Because last night was the go-home show, so you'd think that they have the card up, right? You'd think that they'd have the card at least fleshed out a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, the pay-per-view is Sunday. We're doing predictions on Thursday. It's going to be a short episode, bro.
No, it won't. We'll find something to talk about. Oh, okay. Yeah, you're right. 4 matches and Ronda Rousey.
Oh, yeah. Well, that's not a match, but that's what I'm most excited for, to be honest with you.
That's a bit. Well, I'm excited for the men's elimination because I want to see what the main event of Mania is going to be.
Okay. Interesting.
I know you think it's going to be Roman Reigns, and I'm leaning that way as well. But what if it isn't? I mean, how exciting would it be if it wasn't?
Yeah, I mean, that is exciting. And now, I mean, lately what I've been hearing is they're heavily considering a heel turn for Reigns, which would, I would think, change things up for Mania. Like, if that's the idea. But I mean, I feel deep down, I don't want to give too much away, but I feel like deep down they want to make Roman their babyface, their Cena, their Hogan, their Austin. I feel like that's what they want to do. But I have been hearing this quite a bit.
Well, I'm looking and I'm just like, who's going to do what at Mania? Seth Rollins still has nothing to do. Cena's going to do Undertaker. You got Braun Strowman, I hear, with The Miz, but I also think Finn Balor's going to go after The Miz. So you just never know. Yeah,
I don't know. Either going to have short matches with a lot of them. I feel like you're going to have a normal number of matches with a lot of people involved, which is not exciting. I don't know, Jer. I don't know what what I really don't know what WrestleMania is looking like this year.
Although you did call it yesterday, and I agree with you. JEFFJARRETT Jeff Jarrett is going to hit Elias with a guitar.
I did not call that. I think it was Chris, someone on the status that Steve shared, made that observation before me. But when he said that, I was like, that person is absolutely right. I think it was Chris.
Do you think that Jeff Jarrett going into the Hall of Fame means we're that much closer to WWE owning TNA's library?
I don't think Jarrett has any control over that at all.
Doesn't he? I don't know what he controls or what he doesn't with TNA.
My understanding is he owns Global Force, but I don't think he has any rights to the TNA's library.
Nobody's looking for Global Force's library.
Their library's as long as last night's episode of Raw.
With just as many matches.
And I mean, I do think eventually WWE will probably acquire TNA's library. It came close like a year ago. I hear they want it less for the network and more so they can put packages together for guys like Joe and Styles.
AJ Styles.
Yeah, because those guys did have great matches in TNA. So
yeah, if you're going to put together an AJ Styles DVD, you want to have some of his TNA matches on there.
Absolutely. Yeah, I would still say, I mean, if you want to put together the 10 best AJ Styles matches, boy, maybe only 2 of them would be WWE matches.
Probably. I don't know. I never watched him in TNA, but he's done great.
So what do you think about Jeff Jarrett's induction? I was getting into, not an argument, but like Gavin and I had very disagreeing opinions on this topic.
I think that he is a deserving superstar. I think he's very good, and he was always very good. And he's someone that grew up in the business of wrestling. And I think I asked myself, did this person have an impact? And he did, not necessarily always in WWE, but with what his involvement was with TNA and things of that nature. Because I know it's a WWE Hall of Fame, but sometimes it's the Sting's in it.
Right.
So it's not really your contributions to the WWE or WWF. It's to professional wrestling. And I think Jeff Jarrett has contributed quite a bit to professional wrestling. Does it excite me? No. But I see
that's where I really disagree. So I would say Gavin's point was that his WWE career is not Hall of Fame worthy.
Well, Gavin's being stupid because you're not supposed to just base it off of that.
Well,
or Sting wouldn't be in, or Goldberg wouldn't be going in.
Okay, so that's what I want to say. So by the standard set by the WWE Hall of Fame, which by the way includes like Coco Beware, and I mean there are so many examples of guys that didn't have championship careers. Now, if you think about it like a real sports Hall of Fame, like a football Hall of Fame, baseball Hall of Fame, he didn't have a wrestling career that's up there with Mike
Flair,
or yeah, well, I was gonna say like a baseball equivalent or Joe Namath or whatever. Those to get into a legit Hall of Fame, I feel it's much harder. And like the NFL's Jeff Jarrett probably wouldn't be in the NFL Hall of Fame.
Do you know who Dermontti Dawson is?
I don't.
Dermontti Dawson is one of the best centers to have ever played football, in my opinion. And he was center in the 90s and early 2000s for the Pittsburgh Steelers. Dermontti Dawson is someone that did his job really well and did a great job of it, and he's in the Hall of Fame. Not everybody's going to be the quarterback that every kid knows. Sometimes you're going to be the center that just blocked perfectly, and that's Jeff Jarrett.
So there's that part of it, and then the other half is, and this is why I'm excited, and I'm surprised you kind of said that you aren't excited for it. There is not a speech I want to hear more than, like, I'm really excited to watch Jeff's speech, and I'm excited to see nobody else's speech unless Heyman's the guy who inducts the Dudley Boys. And even if he is, I want to see Jeff's speech. I cannot stress that enough.
I just want to see him hit Elias with a guitar. I just feel underwhelmed in general by this class.
This class sucks. But I'm excited about Jarrett.
Goldberg will be the last speech of the night. You know that, right?
There's no doubt about it. He's the headliner.
I didn't know if he was going to stay the headliner. It all depended on who they got after him.
No, he's a headliner.
Clear to me.
There's no doubt. There's no doubt. What name could you put in to trump Goldberg?
Undertaker.
Yeah,
he'll be wrestling the next night.
So that's that part. And then there was some big news over the weekend as far as they finally confirmed the two brands sharing pay-per-views moving forward after WrestleMania. They also confirmed, I believe,
that won't hurt.
I believe it's not rumored, the pay-per-views will be extended by an hour.
That's not good.
Yeah, that's a long time. And when you think about how many titles there are right now and having both brands on every pay-per-view, I don't know how you're going to have, like, there's so many titles.
Unless they do it the way that you wanted them to write the whole time. It's like some pay-per-views don't, Raw's defending tag champs this time and not SmackDown. And you alternate the storylines that find their way into pay-per-views. But if you're going to do that, why don't you get rid of the brands?
Exactly. That's the root of the problem. And I mean, there's a theory that this is the beginning of that. This is the baby step towards that. But I don't know for sure. It's not enough for me yet. This has the potential to be good or bad. I will say, I believe, if my math is correct, we will still get less pay-per-view time-wise because they got rid of, I think, 4 pay-per-views, but they're adding an hour to them. So
I think they even realized that they had way too many pay-per-views stacked at one point. Remember, it was like every 2 weeks.
When are they going to realize that the length of their shows are burning people out?
I mean, because when you say a 4-hour pay-per-view, what we're really saying is 5 hours, because they've got the kickoff show that they stick a match or two on. I don't watch it, but some people do. If you buy a ticket to a pay-per-view, you walk in, you're going to want to watch. Are you going to want to watch the? Are we going to, like, when you and I go to a pay-per-view? Are we going to skip the kickoff show? What if we miss a preliminary match? What if they stick Kevin Owens in a preliminary match?
If we're actually going to be attending one in person, we go when the doors open, I think.
Yeah, and we're looking at it, right?
Yeah, we could talk about that still. If you want to do that, we can make that happen.
Dude, I've been looking for tickets. They're not on sale yet, but it's on my radar.
I got a text message from
how far are you from Nashville legitimately?
2 hours.
Dude.
Come on down, bro. We can make. I gotta fit, man. But we're gonna be in the book, and work's really weird about me. I'd have to get Monday off.
Would you? Couldn't you just come back that night?
I mean, I guess I would just. I mean, it'd be really late. It'd be really late night.
It'd be brutal.
But I got a text from Eric, and he was saying he's thinking about going to the Something to Wrestle live show. That's going to be there that same weekend.
Well, yeah. If we're going to do the one, we're going to do the other.
Yeah, right. So that sounds like fun. Maybe I'll try to figure stuff out. I mean, I also know that's the month I'm getting married, and I'm taking off. I mean, at least I'm hoping for 2 weeks.
Listen, dude, I'm coming down. I'm driving 12 hours to see you, going home, coming down a month later, 12 more hours. Like, trust me, it's not the most convenient plan we have.
Okay.
But it's something right. It's something to think about. Happy birthday, Jake Roberts.
Okay, so is there anything else to cover on the episode today? I mean, I feel like Raw gave us nothing to talk about.
Nothing at all. And since I said happy birthday, Jake Roberts, I'll also say happy birthday to my wife, Kelly. Happy birthday.
That's right.
Kelly.
Happy birthday, Kelly. I wish her happy birthday on Facebook. And she's still partly responsible for my favorite. I've got like 3 real favorites moments in the show, or maybe even more than that now. But man, when you guys had your ladder match on the TLC review episode, oh my God, I still watch that, man. Still makes my heart sing.
Remember when we were watching Kurt Angle wrestle Ric Flair on Raw at your apartment, and she came over and ruined it and made me go home because of the BTK killer?
Back in State College, yes, I do remember that. There was the time of the BTK killer, which was the BTK killer even in Pennsylvania?
Oregon. GD Oregon.
And what, Kelly was like home from work early and didn't want to be alone because of the BTK killer.
So she ruined Raw, and I was pissed.
So she called Jer and made him come home. And, oh, man.
DDTs.
That was the same night we saw Guar, I think.
It was. That was a good show.
All right, let's wrap things up. Man, this was a fun trip down memory lane this episode, Jer.
Absolutely. I love your T-shirt. Love that shirt.
Thanks for watching, everybody. Tomorrow, we will recap SmackDown. Hopefully, they will give us something to talk about, but I bet they won't. And then on Thursday, the likely extremely short predictions episode. All 4 matches will be predicted.
I predict Ronda Rousey is going to sign a contract.
That's the prediction that I make, too. All right, everybody. Have a good rest of your day. We'll talk again tomorrow here on Post to Post.
That's a great shirt.